Hi, I'm Camilla. Today I'm going to tell you my story. But before I continue, please share and subscribe to hear more stories like this. Growing up, I always had a passion for learning. My mom died when I was 8, and for 3 years, it was just Dad and me. We were close, really close. Dad was my hero, working overtime at his construction job to make sure I had everything I needed. But then Diane came into our lives, along with her daughter Brittany. Camilla, I've been seeing someone, Dad said one evening over our Friday pizza night. Her name is Diane, and she has a daughter about your age. I think you'll really like them. I remember forcing a smile. That's great, Dad. They'll be coming over for dinner tomorrow. I want you to make them feel welcome, okay? I will, I promised, trying to ignore the knot in my stomach. When Diane and Brittany first visited, they seemed nice enough. Diane complimented our home, and Brittany, though quieter than me, smiled whenever our eyes met. You have a lovely daughter, James, Diane told my father. So polite and smart. Dad beamed. Camilla's always been at the top of her class. I noticed a brief flash in Diane's eyes, but it disappeared so quickly I thought I'd imagined it. Brittany's quite the achiever, too, Diane said, placing her hand on her daughter's shoulder. She's won 3 science fairs already. Brittany looked down at her plate. Mom, it's not a competition. Of course not, sweetie, Diane replied with a laugh that didn't reach her eyes. I'm just proud of you, that's all. Within 6 months, Diane and Dad were married, and they moved into our house. At first, everything seemed fine. Diane cooked elaborate meals and kept the house spotless. Brittany and I shared a room and got along well enough, though we weren't exactly friends. Your dad seems really nice, Brittany told me one night as we were getting ready for bed. He is, I said, feeling a surge of loyalty. He's the best. Brittany hesitated. My dad left when I was little. I barely remember him. I'm sorry, I said, feeling a connection with her. I lost my mom when I was 8. I know, she replied. Mom says we should never bring it up because it might upset you. I frowned. It's part of who I am. I don't mind talking about my mom. Things changed gradually. Diane started criticizing little things I did. How I loaded the dishwasher, how I folded laundry, how I dressed. Dad would step in occasionally, but he worked long hours and wasn't around much. Dad, Diane threw away the sweater Mom knitted for me, I told him one evening when we were alone. He sighed. Are you sure, Camilla? Maybe it just got misplaced. I saw her put it in the trash. She said it was too worn out. I'll talk to her, he promised. But I could see he was tired, worn down. By the time I was 16, Diane had transformed from the charming woman who'd won my father's heart to a controlling presence in our home. Everything was about Brittany, her achievements, her needs, her future. Camila, why can't you be more like Brittany? Diane would ask. She studies without being told. She helps around the house without complaining. The truth was, Brittany and I were both good students, but I consistently earned slightly better grades. I never pointed this out. It wasn't worth the drama. But Diane knew. She'd check both our report cards, her smile tightening when she saw my straight A's next to Brittany's mix of A's and B's. My senior year, everything came to a head. I'd been working on scholarship applications for months, staying up late after finishing my homework and house chores. What are you always typing in there? My friend Zoe asked during lunch one day. Scholarship essays, I replied. If I want to go to college, I need financial help. Zoe nodded sympathetically. How's it going with the wicked stepmother? I laughed, though it wasn't really funny. Same as always, everything's about precious Brittany. And how is Brittany handling it? That's the weird part, I said. She's not even competitive with me. I think she's embarrassed by how her mom acts. When the Morrison's Academic Excellence Scholarship, a full ride to any state university, was announced, both Brittany and I applied. It was the biggest opportunity in our school district, awarded to only one student each year. You both have a shot at it, Dad said encouragingly over dinner. I'm proud of you girls for applying. Diane's smile didn't reach her eyes. Brittany's been working toward this for years. Her science fair projects alone should give her an edge. I felt a familiar twist in my stomach, but said nothing. Brittany looked uncomfortable. Mom, Camilla's GPA is higher than mine, she said quietly. And she's captain of the debate team. Diane's expression hardened. Well, you're president of the science club, and you volunteer at the animal shelter. Can we just agree they're both exceptional students? Dad interjected, trying to keep the peace as always. The day the scholarship results were announced, I was called to Principal Garcia's office. My hands were shaking as I entered. Congratulations, Camilla, she said, smiling broadly. You've been awarded the Morrison Scholarship. I couldn't believe it. Really? Are you sure? She laughed. Very sure. The committee was particularly impressed by your essay on resilience in the face of personal loss. It was very moving. I floated through the rest of the day, barely able to concentrate. I couldn't wait to tell Dad, but I was dreading Diane's reaction. That night at dinner, I finally shared my news. I got the Morrison Scholarship, I said, unable to keep the excitement from my voice. Full tuition to any state university? Dad jumped up from his chair and hugged me. That's amazing, sweetheart. I'm so proud of you. Brittany offered a genuine smile. Congratulations, Camilla. You deserved it. Only Diane remained seated, her expression unreadable. What about Brittany? Did they announce the runner-up? Mom, stop, Brittany said, her cheeks flushing with embarrassment. No, I want to know, Diane insisted. This scholarship was meant for students who truly need it. Brittany doesn't have a father who can contribute to her education. Diane, Dad said warningly. James is right here, and Camilla earned this fair and square. Did she? Diane shot back. Or did she just play on everyone's sympathies with sob stories about her dead mother? The room went silent. I felt like I'd been slapped. That's enough, Dad said, his voice shaking with anger. Apologize to Camilla right now. Diane stood up. I will not apologize for standing up for my daughter. Come on, Brittany. We're going out for dinner. I'm staying, Brittany said quietly. And you owe Camilla an apology, Mom. That was cruel. Diane stormed out alone. The three of us finished dinner in uncomfortable silence. 2 days later, I came home from school to find Diane waiting for me. Dad was working late and Brittany had science club. We need to talk about this scholarship situation, Diane said, blocking my path to my bedroom. There's nothing to talk about, I replied, trying to step around her. I applied. I was chosen. You need to decline it, she said, her voice eerily calm. Tell them you've decided to go to community college instead. Let Brittany have the scholarship. I stared at her, incredulous. What? No, I earned this. You have a father who can help you, she said, her voice rising. Brittany only has me. That scholarship was her ticket out, her chance for a better life. That's not my problem, I said, instantly regretting my words when I saw the rage flash across her face. Not your problem? She hissed. Nothing ever is it? You just take and take. First my husband's attention, now my daughter's future. I tried to push past her. I'm going to my room. She grabbed my arm, her nails digging into my skin. You'll do as I say. Call the committee tomorrow and decline the scholarship. Let go of me, I demanded, trying to pull away. What happened next is still a blur. Diane completely lost control. She shoved me against the wall, screaming about how selfish I was, how I'd always been jealous of Brittany. When I tried to defend myself, she grabbed a heavy crystal vase, a wedding gift from her sister, and swung it at me. I remember feeling a sharp pain, seeing stars, then nothing. I woke up in the hospital with Dad beside me, his eyes red from crying. Camilla, he whispered when he saw I was awake. Thank God. What happened? I asked, though the throbbing in my head told part of the story. Brittany came home early and found you unconscious, Dad said, his voice breaking. Diane told her you fell down the stairs, but Brittany didn't believe her. She called 911, then me. Where's Diane? I asked, suddenly afraid. In custody, Dad replied grimly. Brittany told the police everything. How Diane had been treating you for years, what she overheard about the scholarship. The doctors found defensive bruises on your arms that aren't consistent with a fall. The police detective, Officer Rivera, came to take my statement the next day. She was kind but direct as she questioned me about what happened. "Can you tell me about your relationship with your stepmother?" she asked, notepad ready. I took a deep breath. It was complicated. She always favored Brittany. Did she ever threaten you before? Or become physical? Not physical until now, I said, wincing as I shifted in the hospital bed. But she was always putting me down, criticizing everything I did. Officer Rivera nodded. Brittany mentioned that her mother had been upset about a scholarship you received? The Morrison Scholarship, I confirmed. She wanted me to decline it so Brittany could have it instead. And when you refused? She lost it, I said, my voice shaking at the memory. She called me selfish, said I was taking everything from them. Then she grabbed the vase and I don't remember much after that. Over the next few weeks, as I recovered, the truth came out. Brittany revealed that Diane had been emotionally abusive to her too, constantly pushing her to compete and achieve. She'd been too scared to say anything before. "I'm so sorry," Brittany told me, sitting beside my hospital bed. "I should have spoken up sooner." "It's not your fault," I assured her. "She's your mom. I understand why you couldn't." "What's going to happen now?" she asked. "Dad's filing for divorce," I replied, "and pressing charges for assault." "Where will I go?" Her voice trembled. "You'll stay with us," I said without hesitation. "Your family, Brittany." Brittany wiped away tears. "I've never had someone stand up for me like that before." "That's what real family does," I told her, squeezing her hand. "We protect each other." "I testified against my own mother," she said, her voice breaking. "The lawyer said it was crucial evidence." "That took incredible courage," I said. "You probably saved my life, you know." She nodded solemnly. "I couldn't let her hurt you anymore." The court case moved surprisingly quickly. Diane's lawyer tried to paint me as a troublemaker who had provoked her, but the medical evidence and Brittany's testimony were damning. "Your Honor," Diane pleaded during her sentencing, "I lost my temper. I've never done anything like this before." The judge wasn't moved. "Mrs. Martinez, the premeditated nature of this attack, combined with what appears to be years of emotional abuse, suggests otherwise. This court cannot overlook such a violent assault on a child in your care." Mrs. Patel, my guidance counselor, visited me in the hospital. She'd always been supportive, but I'd never told her what was happening at home. "Camilla, why didn't you come to me?" she asked gently. "I didn't think anyone would believe me," I admitted. Diane was so careful around other adults. "I want you to know that the scholarship committee has been informed about what happened," Mrs. Patel said. "They're horrified, of course, but the scholarship is still yours. No question." I nodded, relief washing over me. "Thank you." "And," she continued, "they've decided to award a second scholarship this year, to Brittany." "Really?" I couldn't help smiling. "That's wonderful." "It seems your stepsister impressed them with her courage in standing up for you. That kind of integrity is exactly what they look for." When I returned to school, things were different. The story had gotten out, of course. People looked at me differently, some with pity, others with a new respect. "You're like totally famous now," Zoe said as we walked to class. "Not in a way I would have chosen," I replied dryly. "Seriously, though, are you okay? That must have been terrifying." "I'm getting there," I said honestly. "The nightmares are less frequent now." "I still can't believe Brittany stood up to her mom like that," Zoe said. "Everyone thought she was just this quiet science nerd." I smiled. "People surprise you sometimes. There's often more beneath the surface than we realize." "So you two are like actual sisters now?" Zoe asked incredulously. "We're getting there," I replied. "Trauma has a way of bringing people together." As for Diane, she was convicted of assault and sentenced to 3 years in prison. Dad divorced her, and we moved to a new house closer to the university where both Brittany and I would be attending in the fall. I never thought I'd be going to college with my stepsister, I told Dad as we packed up our old rooms. Life takes strange turns, he replied, looking more at peace than he had in years. I'm just grateful you two have each other now. The day before we left for college, Dad took us both out to dinner. I want to apologize to both of you, he said solemnly. I should have seen what was happening. I should have protected you better. You couldn't have known, Dad, I said, reaching for his hand. I think part of me did know, he admitted, but I didn't want to see it. I was so desperate not to be alone that I ignored the warning signs. We're all moving forward now, Brittany said quietly. That's what matters. She'd changed too, grown more confident, more willing to stand up for herself. We'd never be traditional sisters, but we'd forged a bond through shared trauma and recovery. You know what I realized? Brittany said as we unpacked in our dorm room. Mom was so focused on making me compete with you that she never bothered to ask what I actually wanted. And what do you want? I asked. She smiled. To study what I love without the pressure, to make my own choices, to be myself for once. I think you're already doing that, I told her. On our first day of college, we stood outside our dorm building, ready to begin a new chapter. No matter what happens, I told Brittany, we stick together from now on. She nodded. No more secrets, no more fear. I sometimes think about Diane, sitting in her prison cell. Does she regret what she did? Does she miss Brittany? Does she ever think about the damage she caused? I don't know. And honestly, I don't care. Some people come into your life to teach you a lesson about strength, about resilience, about who you really are when everything falls apart. I learned that I'm a survivor, that I deserve good things, that real family stands by you no matter what. So what about you? Have you ever had to stand up to someone who tried to dim your light? What did you learn from the experience?